What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the People's Voice Network, The New Left. It's me, Z. We got Luton to my left, and we got Austin at the bottom, and we have a special guest tonight. Say hello to, hey, Andrea.
Hi, guys. Not guys. Hi, everybody. Yeah. Sorry.
All good. Well, tonight we're going to be doing the Kansas City police ignoring a serial killer that's been amiss in this. He's specifically been killing Black women. And then we're going to be talking about police arresting the Sysco protesters in Boston. And we had a video a couple days ago that our good friend Andrew went to the actual protest right before it got really, really heated. So he got to talk to a couple people. And we can we might go over a little bit of that video too as well. But also breaking news as well. They actually just came to an agreement. Let's just go. Yeah, they actually just signed a contract. They actually just signed a contract. It got ratified a little bit earlier in the probably like an hour ago, like 2 hours ago, depending. But I have that link too. So we'll go over that a little bit, and then we're going to talk about radicalization. How do people get radicalized, and like the pipelines, and like there's just so many ways that you can get like radicalized, and it's really easy, especially in a culture that like that kind of enables it. And then we're going to be talking about a Saudi general, and probably going to let, I guess, Austin, are you going to go over that?
Yeah, if we get to it, it's
okay.
About not Saudi generals, but Saudi Arabia and a U.S. general.
Okay, a Saudi Arabia and a U.S. general, which should be very interesting because, Saudi Arabia is not the best country with some things, and neither are we. And we supply them a lot of arms, and we do a lot of deals with them. And they bomb Yemen, and so let's get started. That just made me depressed.
Yeah. Like, wow, that sucked.
Yeah, that really does suck. But before we get started, everybody like and subscribe. Don't forget, we are independent media, so if you want to go to our Patreon and send us a donation in some kind of way, we will definitely take that and use it to put it towards the channel. And so, like and subscribe always. We're gonna use that plug. But first things, Luton, can you get up that the video, I guess, for Democracy Now? So Democracy Now actually goes over the Kansas. We're going to go over the Kansas City police first, and what's been going on in Kansas City. It's been pretty brutal. Pretty much, the police said that the community was coming back and forth to the police, calling them and asking, why aren't y'all investigating all these Black women going missing? 4 went missing in a week. There's a video in this video. We're going to go over this first.
Warning to our listeners and viewers. We begin today's show with a story that includes graphic details of sexual violence. On October 7th, a 22-year-old Black woman in Excelsior Springs, Missouri, escaped from a white man who she says held her captive in his basement for nearly a month.
Shout out to Ware.
Torturing and raping her repeatedly. The woman
trigger warning,
knocked
definitely
on a neighbor's door for help after the man left the house to take his son to school.
About 7:30 a.m., I faintly heard a young female saying, "Help me."
Lisa Johnson was the first person to encounter the woman and to help rescue her. She told the Excelsior Citizen the woman was nearly naked as she pleaded for help.
It was actually like an S&M dress. It was plastic, black plastic, very short. It wasn't shorts. It was a dress. That's all she had on, and the duct tape around her neck and the collar. And it was restricted. It was a metal collar. It looked like a shot collar, a homemade one at that. I seen her wrists were pretty messed up and her ankles. Asked what she needed. It was obvious. I didn't really have to ask at that point. I just started looking. First thing I did was tell her.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
Found out. She said he already killed her 2 friends that she was with.
The woman who escaped said other Black women were killed by her abductor. She's not spoken publicly. She's not been named, but she helped break open a story that the Kansas City police had vehemently denied. As community members raised alarm that Black women and girls were being disappeared in September, possibly by a serial killer, police responded by saying the reports were, quote, completely unfounded. Some of the concerns were raised in a now viral video by Bishop Tony Caldwell of Eternal Life Church by the independent publication, The Kansas City Defender.
I am a little upset right
You can keep playing this part.
now. The reason I'm upset is because we got 4 young ladies that have been murdered within the last week here off of 85th and Prospect. We got a serial killer again. And ain't nobody saying nothing. The media's not covering it. We got 3 young ladies that are missing. Ain't nobody saying a word. What is the problem? Why can't we get some cooperation? Where's our community leaders? Where's our activists? Where's our public officials? Where's our police department? Where is those folks at? In President Gardens. Come on now. We need to start knocking doors. We need to start making sure that this is brought to the light. We cannot continue to let this happen.
After that video went viral in September, the Kansas City Police Department spokesperson insisted there was, quote, no basis to support this rumor, unquote. But police have since arrested 39-year-old Timothy Hazlitt of Excelsior Springs, Missouri, for kidnapping and torturing the woman who escaped. The Kansas City Defender has reported on his social media post saying they show the sexual predator was, quote, a white supremacist who believed we are in a race war. For more, we're joined in Kansas City by 2 guests. Ryan Sorrell, founder of the...
Okay. So that's fucking terrible. And let's just get around of everybody what they think before we go into the article, because the article actually lays it out a lot better, in my opinion.
Well, in my opinion, this is nothing new whenever it comes to law enforcement and helping out people of color.
I mean, we saw that with Jeffrey Dahmer. That happened with Jeffrey Dahmer. Like literally, that literally happened. Like whether just like, no, he's my boyfriend or whatever. Like the guy's just like fucked up. He had to drill a hole in his head, and then he took him back up there, and the cops pretty much helped him back into the house. But it's like, anytime anybody of color, anybody marginalized comes to the cops, they're like it's unfounded for the most part. And in this case, they were just blatantly just like, nah.
Well, and the end of the article too, where they're like, I was so upset because the last paragraph of the article goes, the police were like, well, we did what was appropriate at the time, and there's still no evidence of a serial killer. And I was like,
is this guy gonna be a cop? Oh.
She froze like perfect.
She froze. That's.
oh, sorry, I went blank. I'm sitting right next to my router too, so
it's okay.
Yeah, so I was shocked, not even a little bit shocked, but utterly appalled because I'm like, what qualifies as a serial killer then? He's serially raped and murdered these women because of his own statements, I guess, about a race war. So what is it that qualifies as a serial killer? If that's not a serial killer and those concerns in the community are still unfounded.
And what's wild is like it seems like I swear this gonna come out that dude was a cop. Like it feels like it. Like it's just too like I don't know. Like
either he was a cop or he was like military or
super adjacent.
something.
Well, what's his name?
What's
his name? Let's have a look at him.
Hazlitt.
Yeah, Timothy Hazlitt.
Can you spell it?
Haslett.
Let's find out. I'm super good at finding people, not any people, just like once they're popped up.
Yeah. No, this like, and it's like he said he was starting to racialize. So yeah, obviously this was racialized, and this would, and like he's pretty much just playing out like race fantasy bullshit, non-consent, obviously, because he kidnapped him. And she also said that the girl TJ, we're gonna go over in the article in a second, because she's still anonymous. Thank God. Her name is, so she's going by TJ in the article, and in the article it says that her friends were both killed by him as well. So she was the only one who was able to get away. So I don't know. And this isn't the only serial killer. We're going over this one specifically, but there's another serial killer targeting. I think it was either black men or Latino men in Stockton, California. So
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
So this isn't even anything this is like happening. This is, and I'm pretty sure the police were dropping the ball on that one as usual too. I mean, if a serial killer is going around, there's some ball dropping going on, like for the most part. Like obviously the community has already failed the people, and they're not listening to the community. They don't have the resources in the community, and the cops keep getting all the money, but they can't stop a serial killer.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that as far as the guy in Stockton goes, there are so many cameras everywhere, and you only get a shot of the back of his head, like from behind. Come on.
Part of that, though, is nobody wants to give up their camera to the cops. I wouldn't. I'm sorry, but I absolutely would not.
Security cameras from outside that are catching him doing these things, or like catching him like leaving the scene.
Oh, like the Project Greenlight stuff in Detroit, where there's just cameras
like,
and crap everywhere.
Surveillance state shit.
Which is really awful and apparently useless.
Working. Yes, it's obviously not working. It's like what?
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't work, why are we paying for this?
Well, maybe the cops just never worked at all, and
I don't want to get serial killed. Why would I go find one?
Don't get serial killed.
Something like, I was thinking about this about something else. Like 20 years ago, XYZ would be reported. 50 years ago, this probably, would have gone under the radar. You know what I mean? And the fact that hey, some people are dying.
1 second.
It's in its community. Go ahead.
No, you can keep going. I'll be right back.
I would say it's communities, vulnerable communities that, it's not, was it smart? I think somebody, 96, she got killed in 96. Her serial killer, or her killer, I mean, not serial killer. But anyway, it makes me think of Patrice O'Neill and some of his jokes. Anyway, do you find anything out about this Hazlitt fella before we get into the article, or are we about to do the article?
Go ahead and get into the article. I'm still looking. I was kind of thinking, even with all those cameras, the most things that are most commonly catching serial killers and serial rapists are those 20-year-old rape kits nobody ever bothers to check.
Exactly, but that's because
right,
that's because so many government officials and police are there's DNA on those, so they don't want to check it.
I think honestly a lot of it is they literally don't care. Someone asked me, like a state official the other day, was like, well, did you call the police about anything? And I was like, the last time I called the police, they were like, oh, it's a civil matter. You know what they told me the time before that? Oh, it's a civil matter. I'm like, I don't call the police. There's no point in calling the police. They don't care. And she was like, you are, I'm not going to say I agree with you because I am being recorded and work for the state, kind of thing, right? So
she's like,
they don't give a shit. Like, oh, okay, somebody else was raped. I don't give a fuck. Oh, you were in a domestic abuse shelter. You're probably just trying to get a better settlement. Just like, fuck yourself.
Just
horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Just a toxic perspective on everything.
Yeah,
exactly. People stuff misogynistic, But go ahead in that article.
So this is by The Guardian.
Le Guardian.
Le Guardian. And it's out of Missouri because it's Kansas City, Missouri. A woman escapes month-long captivity, says other black women killed by abductor. Missouri woman 22 escapes less than a month after police dismissed concerns about a serial killer as completely unfounded. And this isn't a long article, but a 22-year-old black woman in Missouri who escaped a white man abducted, tortured, and held captive for weeks in a basement has said other black women were killed by her captor. Less than a month after police dismissed community concerns about a serial killer is completely unfounded. So, like we said, it's just like that's just wild. Like, just call the police. Like, it's not wild, obviously, but it's ridiculous that like up to 4 people in 1 week in the same area went missing, like, and people noticed. So obviously, it's an issue. So how is it completely unfounded if the police get their evidence from people and witnesses? That doesn't even like make sense. And they had witnesses. That's the thing. It says the woman who has not been named escaped on October 7th after about a month in captivity, still wearing a metal collar with a padlock that authorities had to remove. And she's been there since like what, September the 7th, a little bit earlier. And it's like she told Kansas City police that 39-year-old Timothy M. Hazlitt has imprisoned her in a basement room in Excelsior Springs, a city just northeast of Kansas City, where he ripped and sexually assaulted her repeatedly. She escaped while Hazlitt was dropping his child off at school, and she sought help from neighbors whom she said that friends did not make it out and were killed by Hazlitt. And around that time, she went missing. Several prominent black community leaders, like we just saw the video last night. The community leaders like went around, and the nonprofit newsroom published a video of Bishop Tony Caldwell, which you just saw, saying that he received information that the missing woman had already been kidnapped from Prospect Avenue in Kansas City. So pretty much like this is so depressing.
And it's kind of sad that she had to go through all that. So she had to watch other women die.
It's like a horror movie.
Yeah, like Saw.
Well, apparently he didn't pay his rent either. They filed eviction against him.
Oh.
This is just me being nosy. That part's probably not important.
Yeah.
That's not really that critical considering. Okay.
That's actually, if anything.
So in fact, police dismissed the concerns as outright completely unfounded, saying in a statement that there is no basis to support this rumor. In fact, the survivor, who is referred to as TJ in court documents, said Hazlitt picked her up from Prospect Avenue in early September. And Hazlitt, a scruffy-looking white man with dark brown hair and graying beard, was detained and last week pleaded not guilty to charges including sexual assault, kidnap, and assault. Excelsior Springs are now investigating the possibility that at least 2 more women were similarly victimized. Bishop Caldwell told the defender that was the description of the guy we were talking about, and that was the location we said they were being taken from. That's exactly what we were telling people. I'm sorry people didn't act on it sooner, and it's absolutely tragic that the other young ladies didn't make it. It's horrible.
Oh, dang. He hit someone with his car in December of 2021 and then skipped out on court as of, let me pull up the docket entries again. April. Failed to appear. He had a warrant out for his arrest already. He'd been arraigned, asked for a continuance, got, where does it say? Notice to defendant for arraignment, asked for a continuance. He was granted. His hearing was held on the 12th. He didn't appear, and warrant was issued for that.
So if he has all these warrants, how is he not in jail already?
Well, the one, though, is recently filed on the 18th. They filed to, have him pay his rent or get evicted. So this is ordinance traffic 4/18/2012. I mean, this guy has liberty. What is this? Let me pull this up more. Followed another, so he was like, followed another vehicle. He was spinning out, and you can see it. This is 11/22/2021. Following another vehicle too closely. This is what happens. This is actually what I'm hearing, like what I'm seeing here. Failed to appear for that one too. 9/20/2022. So warrant was issued. Show cause issued. Failed to appear. Failure to appear or pay traffic was mailed to the defendant. Warrant issued 9/20/2022. This guy was spinning out. You can see it as you look at his court records. This is a consumption of too much propaganda. I'm not excusing him. He's a racist, murdering fuckbag. I'm just saying, like, you can see him. What is this? Criminal infraction 8/10/2021. I mean, this guy was a risk. Breach of contract, criminal infraction 10/07/2022. That better be, wait, the state versus Tim. That better be that arrest. I think it was. Looks like eviction again in February. He was evicted. He's got 2 pages of charges here. I'll pull those up in a second. Let's see what this one is.
So he's a
this
known
is
element, is what they call him.
open. See again, like and he was incarcerated for this. Court finds he's guilty. Costs were waived. Defendant sentenced to 3 days. 10/11/2022. So it looks like they slammed him with all the warrants he already had. Operating a motor vehicle in a careless and imprudent manner. Dude had anger issues involving an accident. This guy was a time bomb. He was a walking time bomb, and the cops
just ignored it.
Criminal charges 7/26/20. He had girls in his basement. Divorced in 2015. Motion to modify 2017. I'll look at that in a second. But yeah, like this criminal infraction on 7/26/2022. If girls have been missing for a while, right? Then this, okay, so what was this about? Another car, motorcycle, truck under 1,800 pounds followed another vehicle too closely. He was just road rage having. Shouldn't have even had a license at that point. Warrant issued, failure to appeal.
Insane.
It's insane. This guy was a time bomb. Obviously a time bomb. Escalating time bomb. Like,
and the sad part is that if it was a person of color, a warrant or like a no-knock warrant would be issued right away.
Immediately, they would have picked him up.
Yeah, if you look at in that article, it says that DOJ probes racism allegations in Kansas City police force. You know, big surprise, but you know, clearly, it's all seems every police force they ignore vulnerable folks. You know, willfully ignore.
He was fighting for custody.
Yikes.
It appears like oh, I see. Yeah, okay. They had a custody agreement. Parenting plan was put in place. It was uncontested. That was fine. He got arrested. The ex-wife filed, obviously, essentially an emergency motion. Right? I mean, I feel like that's the very reasonable thing to do in these circumstances. Yeah, it is. I mean, dude had 2 active warrants at the time he was engaged in these activities. He was, and the warrants were for behavior associated with poor anger management, with poor impulse control. I mean,
red flag type stuff.
Way red flag stuff. And then on top of that, he, you know, he'd been evicted earlier in the year. He was, if you look at this, even just the court records. I don't think he's a veteran. It didn't look like he was a cop. But even if you're just looking at the court records, you can see a pattern of a man losing control of his life and becoming more and more and more violent. You know, one of those violent following too closely or whatever pullovers will land a dude of color in jail without pre-release conditions of any kind. You know, like you're sitting in jail until trial, which incidentally we're going to push back 17 times. Right? That guy was a walking time bomb. And nobody gave a crap, and he murdered multiple women after putting them through. I mean, the poor woman, she's never going to recover, and society is going to expect her to, right? Because that's what we do to Black women. We'll be like, why are you still sad about that? That was like last week. Can't you smile?
Exactly.
Because that's what we do, right? That's just awful.
Tough guy shit. It's like bullshit. So, it's it's ridiculous.
I hope she gets, you know, I hope that they sue that police department out of business. I don't see that they're doing anything useful. And I hope she gets all of that money because she's going to need it for the years of trauma therapy it's going to take for her to even want to walk out the front door. And she'll never feel safe again.
Yeah.
I hope she does. Maybe somehow she can find some peace, but fuck this fucking shitbag.
She's never gonna. I hope she does. I hope she does. I hope she gets the support she needs. I hope that the people around her are loving and patient and supportive. I hope the Justice Department slaps them with a consent agreement that hurts so much they cry for the next 15 years every day, whining about it.
Damn.
I hope they take away all the military toys. Take all the toys away. They don't deserve them. They don't deserve anything. They're bad police and they don't deserve anything. They're bad. I'm very angry. I'm very upset. Okay, I'm so upset. Let's move. Let's move. Let's move on. let's. You guys talk.
Yeah. Well, you basically hit everything on the head with that one. Like, I would hate. I don't even know how it. I just have no words.
Well, and she gets to be depressed. She's allowed. She should be depressed. And she should be anxious. If she wants to be anxious, she should be anxious. And if she wants to lay in bed all day for like 6 months and cry, man, she should have a GoFundMe just so she can do that. I think she should be able to do that. She should be allowed to do that. In fact, I think it would be unhealthy to not do that. I think she should be encouraged to lay in bed and cry for a few weeks, even at least, and then decide where she'd like to go from there. The pressure Black women face to always have like this perfect front and be cheerful from all these different communities, and it's almost impossible for them to get the emotional support. And no, seriously, girl, cry for like 6 years if you have to, whatever you need to do, anything you need to do. What do you need? Do you need someone to set up a GoFundMe so that someone can clean your house? We can get like one of those cleaning service people, right? They have those, if that's going to make you feel safe. What do you need? Food delivery? Scheduled grocery delivery? I don't know if you have kids. Do you need child care? Hair care? What do you need to have time to breathe and come to terms with it? That's my question on this stuff. Like, how can we help you recover from this without putting any unnecessary social constraints or stress or anything on you? Because holy shit, just holy shit. Oh my God, everything about that is holy shit. If I thought the police were going to be good at it, I'd be like, you better be cleaning her house. Except I don't think she's going to feel safe with you there. So don't even go near it. And that's my thought on violent crime victims. So, yep. it's true, you know, like women in general, but especially Black women are expected to always keep it together. And I hope she knows that she doesn't have to.
Which is a ridiculous standard for any human, you know,
Hmm.
perfection and all that. And, but yeah, I think we got a little bit more news to cover.
Cool. Let's talk about something less horrific.
Yes.
This looks pretty cool. You
What
see
am I
that
drinking?
Sysco tweet or that tweet? You see here. Don't have the tweet up, but
1 second, I'll get it. Man.
But
Okay, copy.
the other day, one of our comrades was actually here or there, up around Boston, and we'll try to drop that video in the link in the chat as well. But they talked to an organizer up there, and since then things have escalated a little bit. And of course, who's part of this story as well? The cops. And what are they doing? Arresting workers for exercising their rights.
Yes, I'm just having a lot of like technical difficulties going on my end.
No worries.
Let's see.
Life is one big glitch. Goodness. I swear it's harder and harder every day. But here we are. Oh, goodness. So, yeah. Did you see anything about this, Andrea?
I did, and I was absolutely horrified. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's illegal, right? You can't just arrest striking workers. What even happened there? Like,
Well,
I'm sure they're going to come up with some kind of.
Laws are more like vibes, right? It's just like,
I mean, for us, right? Laws are much stricter for us than they are for a lot of other people, it appears.
yeah.
And I got it.
Here we go. Let's watch this here.
Hold that line! Hey, close those doors. Side cage. Nice. Side cage. I got flex right here.
I don't see any legal observers. Do you see any legal observers?
Nope.
Yo, guys, next time bring legal observers. ACLU has the National Lawyers Guild, National Guild of Lawyers. They've got legal observers for every time. They probably didn't think that.
They were probably there. It's just that it was dark at this point in time, so we didn't really like see them on camera. But yeah, the fact that they're actually going out of their way to arrest the striking workers says a lot.
I don't understand what happened there. My internet is at 5 bars. Yeah, I didn't think that this kind of stuff was even. So anyway, legal observers. At least then you've got all this evidence for, oh, well, this law was broken, this law was broken, this law was broken. City really hates those guys. You know.
Let's see. Background on the strikes.
There we go.
Hundreds of drivers in Massachusetts and New York are on strike at Sysco, the world's largest food distributor. They're still on the picket line after Sysco talks with the Teamsters broke down on Wednesday. So that was last week. Drivers at Sysco deliver the food that served at numerous restaurants, hospitals, nursing homes, daycares, and more. One driver told us it's beyond critical what we do. And let's see.
Let's see if
Drivers
Biden administration said anything about it.
Whew. I mean, the way they handled that railroad strike, sheesh. But let's see. Walked out last week over unfair labor practices. Then drivers in Boston joined the strike, demanding that Sysco add them to the Teamsters pension and increase wages. One of the drivers, Trevor Ashley, told Sysco's pay is way behind U.S. food and other competitors in the area. Wow. So they're refusing to give these people raises. Don't want to let them be put on union contracts, and then go out of their way to actually arrest them once they're on strike.
But they can't. I mean, obviously, I'm so naive, right? But
they do, don't they?
But they do, don't they? All right, yeah, it looks like they did signed a contract the 17th. Let's see.
So that was 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they couldn't, I mean, with a labor shortage, probably couldn't find enough scabs to cross the lines. Right?
Well, so yeah, I was trying to remember from the video that Andrew did the other day. He said that they were paying 24-hour cops for like $80 to $100 an hour, paying the scabs like car rentals, and they're, I'd say, is at least, I can't even imagine how much they were spending each day on
way more than they would be spending on if they actually paid the people that work there.
Which, to me, bleed them dry then. Sysco's, it says so right there, right? They're one of those multinational conglomerates, sucked up all the competition, shouldn't exist because monopolies technically, okay, well, I keep forgetting about the laws thing, right? Just under no circumstances do I feel bad for Sysco. Bleed them dry. Fine. Keep paying scabs. Keep paying security. Do it until you have to start selling off pieces back to the people you hedge fund leached them from. Great. Sounds like a great way to break up a monopoly that shouldn't exist to begin with, because no one person should control that much of the food supply. I guess they disagreed, though, because they signed a contract.
So they did end up signing a contract.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so they got arrested and signed a contract?
It looks like. Go ahead.
Oops.
No, I'm trying to see because this video came out the 17th. So I'm trying to figure out what exactly happened. Speaking out against people's unions are not unions. I don't see where exactly it was that they signed the contract or what happened.
Just that they
or
signed
what
it.
the terms were. Yeah.
They're not puts out. It doesn't look like the Teamsters have put out a statement. Do they have a website? I'm sure. I mean, everyone does, right?
Right.
Let's see. Workers at Sysco Boston Implement voted overwhelmingly to approve a contract agreement Thursday, ending a nearly 3-week strike at New England's largest food service distributor. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. Boston Globe.
215 to 2, it says.
Oh yeah, it's the 20th and Thursday.
Right, sorry, that's 1 second. My freaking computer's
like, what day is this at all? Okay, sorry about that.
All right, so the contract highlights, according to DSA working mass, are $11 wage increase over 5 years, including 5 immediate overtime improvements, improved retirement, continued union health care at a controlled cost. MLK Day is a paid holiday. Sysco will also withdraw all lawsuits and the National Labor Relations Board charges. Mike Clark, Secretary, Treasurer, and Principal Officer at the Teamsters Local 653, told Working Mass I couldn't be prouder of how these members stuck together and all the support they received from the general president, Sean O'Brien, down. So it looks like they're happy.
Well, rock and roll.
Rock and roll. I mean, Sysco can't not, and that was going to go, ripple out once the Teamsters start to strike. It was just in one location, but solidarity is powerful, right? We've seen this before where in Michigan, one at U of M, one organization was striking, and then the other union people doing, repairs on campus or building things or, cleaning or whatever wouldn't cross the lines. So the whole thing started to kind of collapse inward because, unions, when they stand together, one of them striking, you're not going to cross the lines.
Well,
I wouldn't. I never cross them.
That's the power of solidarity and community, right? Is like, so like the Alabama miners strike, they're still going strong, but they have support from community with strike fund and stuff like that, and
that's been going for a long time too.
I think it's the longest strike in U.S. history or Alabama history, maybe. But yeah, it's been going for a minute. Is that was,
how's their strike fund doing? Should we put that up somewhere? Be like, yo,
always.
We'll get a record.
Always.
We can monetize and live stream it.
Yeah, if y'all are listening or whatever, yeah. The Warrior met miners. Y'all can look that up, and I think it's Hayden Wright. She's a person doing that. But yeah. But to your point, solidarity across like industries, yeah, and just because you ain't in the same union, don't mean you shouldn't stand with the other unions. We see a lot of fires all over the place, and maybe some of these fires can get a little more coordinated. All these unions have leaders; they talk to each other. I really am curious how much they talk and how much they think about the big picture. By the way, this microphone doesn't work. This is just a prop.
You have a prop microphone. That's hilarious. I don't know. It seems to me like
it's a real microphone.
Industries.
I dropped it one day and I haven't checked since. Anyway.
I don't even have a microphone, I think there's one in the headphones technically. So I figured your microphone was real.
It's close enough to real. But
I'm not sure. I mean, I was raised in Michigan and unions here, at least when I was young, and still, which that was really interesting to me. I was holding a women's march after, I think it was right after Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. And so it was a very conservative area, and they always hated I always stood somewhere very, very, very visible. And so many people really hated it. And it was just a nasty, awful experience every time. And it was just horrific every single time. And so people would come to one of my protests and then wouldn't come to any more unless I promised it wasn't going to be somewhere near where I live. And I remember this woman saw us and she stopped, and she's very pro-Trumper, very aggressively gross and mean. And then she's like, wait, are you guys on strike? Like, that's how deeply ingrained not to cross the picket lines are. Like, she and I couldn't have had more different views on life. But if I was holding a picket line, she wasn't going to cross it. Right.
Yeah.
So that to me, I think, I don't know if that's more of a Michigan attitude. We're very pro-union, or we used to be more, or if it's national. I don't think it's national.
I think you're right. I don't think there's a whole lot of national spirit along with strikes, unlike the French. I think.
they're so good at it. They're like pros at it, and they stand together.
They are
Our
pro. Yo, I just want to. I just have a small dream of opening a small waste management company so I can have one truck that shoots shit. Uh-oh.
Where'd Luden go?
I don't know, but I don't think I have any ability to do anything. They were the
Oh,
two.
he says he's gonna rejoin. He can't hear anything.
There you go. I'm back. Sorry about that.
Oh, great. I was like, no, come back. So what do you think, Luden?
I am sorry. I was not able to hear anything that happened within the past 5 minutes because my computer's just been going crazy in the background here.
Just we were just kind of talking about how the French know how to do some protests in these.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know. Have you heard anything? Any other strike actions going on that's popped up on your radar up there?
Strike actions in New York or in the general area.
Oh, you guys got that Amazon. That was amazing.
From
Over the summer?
Oh yeah, over the summer, yeah, that was great. But the recent one, I think the vote failed, and they're trying to investigate what happened there.
It's like 400 to 200, I think.
Yeah.
Which it seems so funny. Like they can, I just don't see how people can be talked out of a union. I just don't get it.
I don't either. I'm like, look, he's just lying. They're just lying. You know they're lying. Like,
I think it's because they make the workers feel like they have no power in the situation. And in a way they don't, because they can just easily fire everybody and then what?
Unless you have your own lawyers and shit, maybe. But that's the thing is like you individually are not going to be able to be an institution of any size.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the math of it. Like how one person can't do. I mean, what the hell? You can't do shit by yourself. I don't know.
You got to be more like ants and bees.
Right on.
I mean, that works for me. I don't know if y'all would like it as much.
If I'm able to like lift X amount of times more than my body weight, of course.
Yeah, insect war machine.
What? There's so many of them. Like, if the ants ever attacked, okay, my brain is ridiculous. I'm just gonna stop it right there. I was staring at the James Webb photos.
Yeah, let's figure out bug mind control and
well, okay, I saw
to eat the rich.
They do eat the rich, just after they die.
Mm.
Okay, did you guys see the James Webb photos today? The Pillars of Creation ones?
I did. I saw them.
So they were really awesome, and they just looked like these huge entities made of like dust and light, and they really did have almost a humanoid form. One of them looked kind of like a schnauzer, one of them was a turtle, and so I made jokes about, look, even star daddies are grumpy faced all the time. And I thought after I saw that, I was like, what if someday I saw like this microscopic, but not totally microscopic, I could still see it, little jet or rocket flying around trying to figure out what I was. I need to remember not to smash it. I never smash bugs anyway, but just in case someday we can get a spaceship to the Pillars of Creation, because I'm like, what if those things are sentient and they're like, ew, a bug.
Man.
That'd be the luck of
right.
It's those types of things that make you like wonder, like, wow, like what is like the ultimate point of all of this. Like
Who says
there has to
one?
be more to be. There has to be more to life than what we're experiencing right now.
I mean, creatures all seem to have the same basic drives, and it's possible that there's entities in the universe that have drives so very different from us. But, if they're in space, like the pillars of creation, and those creatures are actually creatures and not just gases. I mean, they wouldn't use sound to communicate. It would have to be something along, like, never mind. My imagination is running away with me today with this. But
What if they were sentient gas?
what if they are sentient creatures? Some things are so huge. Like, I think about it like this. Because I'm a Buddhist, so I don't have any predefined ideas of literally anything, really. Be nice to people. That's about it. So what if these creatures, some of them, are so big that to us, it's the same scale as an amoeba to us, right? Can an amoeba even really see us if it had eyes? No, we're too big, right? And we don't see them. There's too little. And the best cameras that we will ever make, when the Hubble or when the Webb first went out and the pictures came back, it almost looked like the universe itself is curved. If we're in a bubble that's inside of a universe, that's inside of a bubble, what's on the outside of it? We have no idea. So I just kind of assume, sure, it's all true. All's it, everything. Maybe those things are creatures. They've been making baby stars for... Maybe they just hang out and complain about the neighbors' HOA policies and make baby stars, and they're like, no, go put that human back. It's going to die out here. Now, look, you killed it. What did I tell you? I built, like, I decided today that's how Earth was actually populated. There's all these mysteries about it. And I was like, well, here's what happened. Star Kid was running around playing and was like, oh, I found a marble. But it was just like a habitable zone planet. And he stuck it on a shelf or something, and then noticed there were creatures in it, and they're like, like kids do, pull out the creature, sees it, dies immediately, makes it a little terrarium. We'll call that the Garden of Eden. Population issues happen. Dad's like, what did I tell you about this? Takes it, dumps it on the nearest habitable planet because he's not a monster. And then, boom, humans on Earth. So, yeah, that's what I decided today. I'm going with it. That's what I'm...
That'll work. Well, you were talking.
Thanks, Skipper.
Earlier this week.
I don't know what's going on with the internet, but yeah. So that's my new creation story for children now. From now on, I'll be like, well, what?
So write it down and like, yeah.
No, I don't think so. You know what's going to happen? People will be like forming all new religions and screaming weird things at you. So I'll be like, listen, I was joking. Yo, chill out. Why you hate Star Kids? What's wrong with you?
Tom Cruise knocking like incessantly at your door. I read it.
I'll be like, listen, I don't need any money. Go away. Oh, but the pictures, they come from the universe, and I don't understand how we can be so cruel and murdery and awful. You look at those pictures, and there's so much magic and amazing. Like, I don't understand it.
Very self-centered, at the very least.
Yeah.
But earlier this week, talking about radical pictures that you saw. How about some radicalization that you were talking about?
Yeah, so actually that was me.
Segment? Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I was like, Austin. I am worried about it now. I mean, I was always worried about it, but I noticed like there's this uptick in, it started maybe over the summer, of people of color engaging in these. I was locked down in an active shooter lockdown a couple weeks ago, and I have to give the Dearborn police credit. I figured the shooter was white because they spent like 7.5 hours negotiating with them and stuff, but he wasn't. He was black. But yeah, I know, right? So I'm gonna give Dearborn police full credit. They honestly, I really annoyed them. I still feel a little bit guilty about that. I don't like to be stuck in a house to begin with. It wasn't even my house. I ran out of time for sitting getting tattooed. You can only be tattooed for so many hours before you need a break. Big shout out to Immortal Inc. on that one. Their boss kept calling, like, you guys are still okay, right? So he was awesome. The whole place was awesome. The sniper sat upstairs, like, dead still for 7 hours, and they did get him out alive. And I was really grateful for that, too. But, and so when I realized that, and I started realizing you're seeing more of this, that, like, when it first started, and I think partly because the people who create this propaganda that radicalizes people are white conservatives. They knew how to talk to white conservatives, right? But so the kind of stuff they make, like all that hateful incel shit, all that hateful white nationalist shit that people read and watch and their brain stops working, literally, right? Like when you're building up something like that, you have to know the culture. You have to understand the person and the social norms and what it's like where they are. So for white conservatives, they already knew, right? That's their target base. That's who they are. So it wasn't hard for them to relate to those people. But now they're trying to spread it because really it's not just Christian supremacy, but male supremacy. And there's lots of evidence that says male supremacy is across demographics, that men will, I think we talked about this before, men will unite across demographics to preserve male supremacy, right? That one's not dependent on race. You see it all over the world.
Most specifically,
And
like the Proud Boys, they
right,
kind of mirrored
right,
that.
or the Boogs. The Boogs are blatant male supremacists, but they're not racist. Right? It doesn't matter to the Boogaloos. You can be from anywhere, look like anything, as long as you're a dude. Assigned male at birth. As long as you are assigned male at birth. Let's be specific there. Right?
What a dumbass saying.
I know. And nice Hawaiian shirts, but what the fuck ever. If we're gonna start making fun of like extremist male supremacist groups, I could do that all day. Like you look like you should be drinking triple hopped IPAs. What's your frat? 2 GPA. No, okay, just kidding. Just kidding. Anyway, so the reality is though that okay, so this propaganda was actually created just to destabilize the West in order to it's very like most people they don't want to hear about that stuff. They're like, no, I have a job. My job is to do this, and your job is to do whatever it is you're talking about now. So stop telling me, and I won't tell you about my job, and everybody's happy. Right. So they built this stuff deliberately to destabilize the West, and it was working pretty well up until this summer, and it's not working so well anymore. But I think they'll get to keep the UK, so lucky them. But in order to continue their goals, they need money, and their money pool is rapidly drying up for various reasons. And part of that reason is because mass shootings have drawn so much attention to guns. It's really hard to move guns, even if you're a drug cartel, even if you're organized crime running an international crime syndicate focused on human trafficking and guns. If most of the population is staring around going, where'd you get that gun? Why do you have 17 guns in your car? Who are you planning on murdering with all those bullets, right? Because everyone's scared these days. And so what they want to do now is, my assumption, is change the narrative so that white people stop caring about mass shootings, right? And they've done this before. There's a lot of historical evidence showing white people don't care about mass shootings that don't hit the white community, right? It's just true. Or I should say white middle class, because poor white people were also experiencing high rates of violence, right? But the white middle class had the power, and they don't care until it affects them. So if we can get people to stop paying attention by switching these from active shootings to crime sprees in urban areas or rural meth clinics exploded, nobody cares anymore, right? So I just wanted to kind of talk about a couple of important things. You've all seen these people who do these things, who pass this propaganda. And these accounts are not all your typical white nationalist accounts. A lot of them are going to be on leftist Twitter, leftist Reddit, leftist wherever, Discord, wherever you go. And it's always going to start the same though. Okay. So somebody either who's been there for a while and you're new to the group, or someone new to the group who seems to kind of suddenly be best friends with members of the group who are lonely, like obviously lonely, right? You know when your boys are lonely. And maybe you'll try to talk to them because it's almost exclusively men because these are male supremacists. And if you, right, okay, so they're not targeting women. They're not going to target people that aren't assigned male at birth, right? They're targeting men. But like I said, people know when their guy friends are lonely. It's just that it's kind of ingrained in men to say, "Oh, I'm not lonely. I'm a man. I don't get lonely." I'll be like, "Cool, right? Just broke up, just got divorced, just moved, got a new job." Anything that increases social isolation while also impacting the self-esteem, right? Because this kind of shit doesn't work on an average person if they have high self-esteem. Right? You're not going to suddenly be talked into hating a bunch of people if you don't have some serious self-loathing issues. Okay? Right? So self-loathing.
Oh my God, my head popped up.
What happened?
Sorry, that was my brother in the background.
Right? Okay, so you've got self-loathing, guilt. Guilt is another one. Loneliness, anger. Like these guys don't effectively talk another man into doing atrocious things without having to really leverage negative emotions, right? And they have to feel like, okay, so they meet this guy, he's lonely, he's isolated, just got divorced, he's got some anger, he's got some resentment, he misses his kids, he misses his wife, he's pissed off she left him just because he didn't clean, whatever, right? Because that's a big part of it. Well, she had enough money to leave him. Well, she expected him to clean shit too. Well, she expected him to have to take care of the kids while she was at work, just because he didn't have any work right now. But he's the man. So he should have been, right? So there's all these complexities there. There's pride. There's feeling like a social reject because your wife's out earning you, losing your kids, right? Okay. So a guy who doesn't feel like that isn't really susceptible. But if you do have these angers and this hurt and this just confusion and fury and you're just flailing, those are the guys they latch onto, and they're suddenly that guy's best friend. They're his best friend. They're always chatting. Now we've all met the con artist, right? You move to a new city, who's the first person you meet? Always the con artists, the drug dealers, and the people who need a place to sleep. I mean, it's true, right?
What if you're all three?
Congratulations, I guess. Well done, you. It's a hat trick.
3 for 1.
3 for 1. So this guy is, and again, it's gonna always be a guy, or it's not so much women, but so although it can be with the honeypotting. So what'll happen is they'll be best buddies for a long time, or it seems like a long time, but really it'll be like a couple of months.
Yeah.
And then new best buddy will tell this other guy, again, probably a decent dude, just in a bad place. Like, hey, I've got this other chat group. Why don't you come join that? And this guy might be like, nah, I'm pretty happy here. I'm pretty busy right now. I don't really think I can add another chat group. But that's when they start leveraging. Because in the process of being best buddies, now the other guys are pretty well shut out. Right? We see the same thing online with teenagers too. Right. Well, suddenly he's not just your best buddy, he's your only buddy. And also, he was there for you. He was there for you when you needed him, when you were a mess. He stood by you. Those other guys left you. Just like that bitch, just like that horrible woman who took your money and wrecked your life. Well, now he's leveraging your good instincts. Now you feel conflicted. You're feeling guilty again, right? Because he was there for you. He did stand by you when nobody else stood by you, when you felt like at your lowest. He stood by you. These guys are just like drug dealers, okay? Like, now you need another hit. It's going to be expensive. So they leverage these good feelings, your feelings of loyalty, your feelings of, paying your debts, your feelings of being a good friend. Maybe you go to this other chat room, and that's where your big problems are going to start. Because extremism and radicalism don't happen all at once. They're not just going to suddenly drop this shit on you. You're not going to walk in there and they're going to be like, yo, let's go light some stuff on fire and murder a bunch of people and take some women as property and lock them in our basement. That's not how it starts. And it takes a couple of years. So like that guy with the chick and all the women he decided to murder, yeah, in 2018, he had just settled a good and apparently uncontested, so both sides were fairly happy with the custody agreement. He had these women in the basement, but still took his kid to school every day, right? So in 2018, he was a fairly normal guy. And then you see these records through the court system, 2019, 2020, a bunch of times in 2021, bunch of times in 2022. And that to me is actually a hallmark of radicalization, of extremism, because that stuff, it wrecks your brain.
Yeah,
Now, not every man has.
You
Do
poison
what?
your brain.
Yeah, it's worse than drugs. It's worse than heroin or, like oxy or something, where you just live in, all you do then is just live in a dream world and drift, right? It's like mixing PCP and meth and mainlining it to
serial killer.
Well, and that's the thing. Not every guy has violent impulses, though. No matter how, the TERFs want to talk about how these cis men are dangerous, so keep the trans people out of the bathrooms and all this bullshit. The reality is not every man is violent. They're not. You can radicalize a guy and pound extremist rhetoric down his face. He's still not going to go out and murder a bunch of people. Because most people just aren't violent like that.
Yeah.
All right. So you
sit there and think about that and your stomach don't hurt, you probably have a problem. But yeah.
Well, the way I look at it like this is, a lot of the reason this stuff works is because men are lonely.
Well, to something I was reading this week, actually, I don't know, Luden, if you happen to see this, it was kind of related to AOC tweeted about sex, men lack of having sex. But with that, the core of it, and there's another article that, younger, once men leave the house, they typically get socially isolated too, I definitely have experienced that. So, every person has experienced, most people have experienced social isolation on some level, I'd imagine. But,
Oh yeah, definitely. Like definitely first day of school type thing. First day, like moving in a different environment.
Well, and the more I learn about how men in America live, the more I sort of understand. I read an article not long after I got married, and I'm not all that big on like hugging and stuff, but it was talking about how once a boy hits his teens, before that he's allowed to like hug anyone he wants, but once they hit puberty, they're not allowed to do that anymore. But touch is a human need.
I'm making it a point to try to remember to hug our oldest, and because specifically because of shit like that. Like,
Yeah, and so it's like, to me, the solution to this, and especially because these are all male-oriented, male-dominated groups, right? But here's the thing, like, you don't have to have that kind of toxic messaging to have a group of guy friends. You don't,
no,
right? Like, and maybe it's because these are the same guys that are questioning, like, how they're supposed to define their masculinity, or I don't know what, but here's the thing, like, you don't you don't have to be angry or hurt to have a group of guy friends. You don't have to sit around with a bunch of guys. Like, it turns out that the majority of men find these groups so repugnant they're not members, and there's a reason for that, right? Most dudes don't think hating on women or hating on someone just because of their race or perverting on 17-year-olds because that's what God's intention was, or some other gross shit is okay. They don't. You have to seriously force extremism down these people to make these acceptable. But those are the attitudes, like, you, for some reason, if you're not displaying these hyper masculine, disgusting attitudes, apparently guy groups are, what are they somehow girly? Well,
I don't. What? Why are they sitting there typing and stuff on their phones and computers? It wouldn't, like, why aren't they sending letters? Isn't that more manly or something?
I don't know. Shouldn't they be like hiking, eating meat they chase down while basically wearing no clothes and like get the meat with their teeth? And I'm like, okay, look,
The deer is
Mm-mm.
toxic. Be careful, though. Yeah, that's fun. I saw that this a few weeks ago. Hunting season open. Don't eat the deer. They're toxic.
Oh yeah. And so they'll just starve to death, which sucks too.
Yeah.
But so I think it's really important for guys to know that when you're vulnerable, and newsflash, every single one of you is vulnerable at some point. We all are. We're human. We have feelings. Your brain is chemically designed to give you these chemical feelings because that's how you stay alive biologically. You can dress that up in as many like macho terms as you want. Like, oh yes, I have evolved to be the top of the species. I am the alpha of all predator things, and it's because I have feelings.
Their things.
Right? We are apex predators, right? It's because you have feelings. That's why. That's why we're apex predators.
Ligma predator. What?
I'm not ligmaing any predators. It's disgusting. Anyway, so if 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 what you need to feel like super manly and masculine is just remind yourself that, like, you definitely didn't get eaten by a shark or a wolf or a tiger or something because you had feelings, and those feelings gave you awareness of your situation, which makes you much cooler than a shark or a wolf, which, by the way, look, it doesn't look that cool to live like a wolf. I'm just saying, looks a little cold, looks a little dirty. My point is this,
I
you
was
know,
of one. Oh, why did I say that?
I don't know. They're always comparing themselves to like hippos and wolves and stuff. I'm like, I'm sorry, excuse me, sir. I see your problem. You're not aware of what
Wait,
species you are.
are these conservatives furries?
No.
As a
And
furry, I take extreme offense to this statement.
yeah, and I was
I,
gonna say, don't encourage them that way, because like every
well,
furry I've
maybe
ever encountered.
no. Hold on. Let me defend my point. Maybe they are furries that need to let that shit out. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe, and that's what's causing all their internal toxicity. They're lying
I
to
don't know
themselves.
what's causing it.
They lie
I
to
mean, some of
themselves.
them really are just entitled, and those are the guys spreading this toxic shit. But
They
a
want
lot of the people that end up in those groups, it's like a combination of drug addiction and
trauma,
domestic abuse and,
growing up in racist households and shit.
and I want to hate on them, and I want to be like, I fucking hate you assholes, because I'm a woman, and I'm like, I fucking hate you assholes. But a lot of them were just regular dudes, and they were just vulnerable. And instead of turning to their guy friends that had their back for years, instead of talking to their family, instead of seeking mental and emotional support, a vulture saw them and swooped in on them. They're victimized. Now, does that mean that they have to walk into that program and stay there? No, they chose to, which makes them accountable for their thought patterns and their behavior. But a lot of them sort of got there and then just don't know how to get out. Which, again, still makes them responsible for their actions, because I can tell you right now, I've been lonely plenty of times and I never wanted to hate someone because of it.
Yeah, no shit.
But I'm trying my hardest to give people the benefit of the doubt, to outreach, and especially in communities where discussing things like your emotions, feeling isolated, feeling lonely, isn't something that's really done very often, like, the male community. Assigned male at birth community. And I just want guys to know, like, your feelings, your emotional, all that stuff is the reason that societies were built. That they're actually one of your strongest, most amazing strengths, and they keep you alive, and they're biologically necessary. And managing them and knowing that it's okay to feel lonely and isolated, and that doesn't mean you have to latch on to the user that's trying to destroy your life. It's important, and not just because I don't want a civil war, but because there's no coming back from it. Once they're radicalized, you're not getting them back. That person you knew before that is gone, and there's no bringing them back. That's somebody's brother, that's somebody's husband, that's somebody's son, that's somebody's best friend, and that person is gone. And it doesn't have to happen if we look out for each other. If you see your friends all of a sudden withdrawing, only talking to like one person, that person came around recently. If you saw your buddies getting hooked on something nasty, you'd say something. It'd be some kind of, you'd try at least, right? Like, yo, man, I'm getting concerned. And this is no different. Like, be there for each other.
Well,
Everyone's scared.
yeah, you're damn right. Gotta laugh in the dark. We're at 1:16 here. Luden, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I'm pretty good. Like, this was a pretty nice and deep conversation on all fronts.
Right on. Yeah, saying all that about everything. What popped in my head earlier when you were saying, what does it all mean? You're talking about feelings, love, and these folks suffering a breakdown in their family and community, and going off the fucking rails, and then all the tragedy that washes out from their violence and extremism.
Mhm.
But I don't know about y'all, but I'm getting a little tired, and I would definitely like a little cigarette. So I think we're going to skip the generals and their corruption, lack thereof, whatever. We'll talk about it. I'll tweet about it, whatever. But
I appreciate you guys giving me the platform to talk about this tonight. I'm sorry, I'm trying to take guys out of my vocabulary and just use y'all. I appreciate y'all letting me, it's very gender neutral, come on and discuss this tonight. And I'm just always so glad to see you.
You're always welcome to come back. Love having your input.
I just love you guys so much, all of y'all. And Z, even though he left. Bye, Z.
But yeah.
All right, here. Have a kiss. Love you guys. Thanks for having me, and hopefully I'll see you soon, okay?
Yes.
Bye. God dang it. Love y'all. Bye.
Bye. All
right, man.
Let me end this broadcast. Thank everybody for watching. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Be safe, y'all.